you don't get the nuances. Now, you don't make mistakes as big as the difference between terrorist and tourist, but still, you don't get the nuances. You don't get them right to the market. And that's why many international titles failed in the region. It is primarily about content, especially in this day and age. Why? Because every person has become a content creator. Especially following the Arab Spring, people felt empowered, and they wanted to share more, and they wanted to write more, and they became creators, and many people became consumers, and then they didn't only get the nuances, but the pulse of the street, what people wanted to read, how to present it, and how to actually capture the native audience and capture the local issues. So hyper-local content became very attractive in the Arab world, and no publisher does it so far. Someone said before, publishers come to the region and it's easier to do the title in English, because definitely it's much, much easier. As Muhammad alluded, the talent is there. You can get it from anywhere. You can get it from India to the US to come and do content in English in the region of titles that are targeting clients in the region and readers in the region. But how do you do it in Arabic? If you don't do it in Arabic, you're missing on 95% of the market. And when we say this, we're not oblivious to the fact that, yes, there are differences between Arab countries. But still, in a big market like Saudi Arabia, 80% of Google searches happen in Arabic. They don't happen in English. In a market that is as cosmopolitan as Dubai, 50 to 60% of Google searches happen in Arabic. And Dubai has 50% Indian population. So what I want to present is opportunities and some of the myths about Arabic language in general, and when it applies to content, and the real challenges. You know, I come from Syria, started the publishing business 12, 13 years ago. By the time we had to leave the country, we were doing 17, 18 titles, and we were the largest magazine publishing group in the country. Syria speaks Arabic very well. The Syrian dialect is very close to the Fusha language, which is the Fusha, the classical Arabic. So we're able to actually license some of our titles to Lebanon and to Jordan. And still, in a country like Syria or in a country like Lebanon, there was the myth that readers that read don't read in Arabic. Readers that read would read in English or French or the language of their education in the US or somewhere in the West. However, those same readers watched the news bulletin in Arabic, shared the news at dinner in Arabic, consumed information in Arabic, but it was not easy for publishers to do Arabic content. As Muhammad said, the talent was not there. And because media generally was about news organizations that were controlled by the state, who were not interested in developing stories, but rather spreading propaganda, then you didn't need actually to develop talent. And I think the opportunity is there for Western publishers. If you can get a partner in the region to bridge that gap between talent and local needs, so you can speak to millennials in your Western publications and publications in the US and in Europe, and then if we bring it here, localizing the content rather than Arabizing it, and there's a difference. If you want to Arabize it, you can get the language right, you get the grammar right, you get the choice of words right, but you don't get the sense of the language. So when we started doing the Harvard Business Review in Arabic, definitely Harvard has its own terminology in management, business, and so on, and we needed actually to localize that. We needed these terms to make sense in Arabic, not only translated. And that was a lengthy and a costly process. That's why people don't do it. If we want to coin terms in Arabic, then they have to be done not only by linguists. You need to actually see the reaction of practitioners, of people that are in the field, and see whether these terms could actually become popularized as they are in English. For example, the word disruptive. How do you translate it in Arabic? Some translate it as thawriya, which is revolutionary, quite risky to use in this part of the world. Some translate it as upsetting, and so on and so forth. After talking to the language assembly in Damascus, Baghdad, and in Cairo, we got some interesting suggestions, but what resonated with readers more in a focus group was مزعزع, which never occurred to us. التغيير المزعزع is a unique term now to describe disruptive change. Now people will say, I don't really like it, but it will have to grow on you to become a term. So you need to actually produce it as one of the management terminology for Harvard, and then you work on popularizing this through the issues and the books and so on. But people, when they read Harvard Business Review in Arabic today, what they find is Arabic flow, proper choice of words, and most importantly, the right usage of proverbial language. So proverbs are in Arabic, names are in Arabic, and so on and so forth. The last editor that edits the piece does not actually see the English original. And they will tell us if this makes sense in Arabic from a purely Arabic point of view, if the flow makes sense. You know, some of what's considered in English, for example, as run-on sentences are just normal in Arabic. I mean, the normative case in Arabic is run-on sentences. You can have an entire paragraph without a full stop. If you have short sentences in English, I mean, this is, yes, a quicker pace. Probably it resonates with some of the population, but for most of the population, we get feedback that this sounds as translated. And people do not want things to sound as translated, especially when most of the content that they get, relevant content, especially in this day and age, is actually translated. So the opportunity is there, and it's massive. And there is a new, people find today that there is more opportunity because of economic growth in the region, despite the recent events, especially with the oil price. People are getting better education, and that means they become they're more affluent in their consumption of content. And there is more talent in Arabic content. If we tap into the talent that is producing content for the crowd, producing content on Facebook, bloggers, and so on, you get very relevant content. And we get it actually from people that comment on our articles. So people go online. One of our properties is one of the top by traffic in the MENA region in the Arabic business segment. And we actually look at the people that are writing sound comments on our content, and then we go to them and ask them to become writers or bloggers with us. And this is why we're able to generate more and more traffic on the website. Of course, we do all the SEO and so on and so forth, digitally and technologically, but content is king in the Arab world because there's no content. And this is the opportunity. Now, another myth is that there is no single form of Arabic that readers would read across the region, and this is wrong. From Morocco to Oman all Arabic readers would listen to the news bulletin in classical Arabic. All government documents are in classical Arabic. All dailies are in classical Arabic. Most Main Street news sources are in classical Arabic. Classical Arabic is understood across the board everywhere. So this is number one. Another myth is that Arabs don't read. And I think this is an idea, a notion that has been propagated by Arab populations, and I think it has some sense of truth, but at the same time, you go to book shows or book exhibitions, and you'll find buyers leaving the book exhibition with trucks, actually, of books. So they read, but they don't read the content that we publish. They're looking for their own content, and they find it either in English or they find it by something that is done by Western media and then publicized online. There's an interesting, actually, fact from Google. People would search for the term in Arabic, and then they don't find content, and immediately they will try to find the same term in English. Most of the time spelled incorrectly, the English equivalent. And most of the time getting inaccurate results. So people are looking for information, and they actually want to read. The third is about whether it makes economic sense in Arabic to have, in this part of the world, to do content in Arabic. And I think it does. The challenge is like the challenge everywhere. And here we come to the challenges of the publishing industry in the region. First, there is no single pan-Arab distribution company. You need to deal with distributors in each and every country. This is a challenge because of different rules and regulations in each and every one of these countries. But at the same time, these are issues that can be dealt with. If you have a publisher that is eager to do it, that finds a business sense for them to do it, then it is doable, and many people have done it in the Arab world. The other thing is that whether you can generate advertising for Arabic. And I tell you, for example, in Arabic content online, advertisers and agencies do not find big enough inventories of online advertising. If you throw at them 10 million impressions today, 100 million impressions today, they can absorb them immediately. But you have to be culturally relevant. So yeah, I mean, food and wine will not come to the region, but I mean, I wouldn't think of food and wine as not coming to the region as a restriction. I mean, it's irrelevant to the region. If we want to target only a small niche of the population, then we're not talking about an industry. There are many restrictions in the region, and in any country there are restrictions. There are cultural restrictions. There are cultural restrictions in the US. Maybe they're not regulatory restrictions, but the cultural restrictions will exist everywhere, and every title, every publication has to make business sense eventually. Where do we go from here? And I think what the message I want to leave you with, and maybe you can take it to other publishers too. Publishers in the region are interested in your content, generally. Some of the content that is published by your companies is already being translated and put online, pirated, unfortunately, but it's happening. This is the nature of the online world, especially when you don't exist in the market, when you're not here to see who's doing what. But at the same time, there are publishers that are ready to engage with you and not only localize the content, but create new business opportunities. The Arab world is different in a sense that when the millennials came into the picture and they became the largest consumer of content and generators of revenue for companies, it was already past the print age. So they came to actually consume content because content became more ample and more available and more relevant to them. So they're not used to the print model where print was mainly news propagated by governments or controlled by publishers with ideologies, most of the time. So now they consume content almost exclusively online. But I think there is a chance still in this part of the world for magazines specifically, not dailies. Magazines are a human experience, I mean, all of us know, but a hybrid model that combines magazine, online, mobile, and all the extension of the brand events is a very relevant investment in this market today. What we need to do is find the right publisher, find a publisher with a vision to localize content, find a publisher with the ability to distribute content across the region and not in any one country, or a small place like Dubai. I mean, as big as Dubai is, it's cosmopolitan and the market is saturated and there's no local audience in Dubai itself. The most immediate audience next to us is Saudi Arabia, and if we're betting on the future of the region, and this is what we do as residents of this region. I mean, the only thing we can do is bet on the future of the region. Iraq will be back, Syria will be back, Egypt is already a big market, North Africa is going to join that economic pie at some point in time, and it is the right bet for content. A hybrid model, something that speaks to millennials, something that at the same time consolidates the brand through print and events, and just find the right partner in this region. Many publishers come to the region and they meet with us and they tell us, you know, millennials are all the same anywhere in the world and they're all that version of a kid, of a person. Well, I'll tell you, we have a very active rap movement in the Arab world, and it is in Arabic, exclusively. In Egypt, this is how they rap. In Syria, this is how they rap. In Iraq, this is how they rap. And you watch them on the news. So yes, there are cultural influences that we're importing, and we'll continue to do that, as this region has done since ever. But they'll be localized to our culture, they'll be localized to our language and to our needs.